I want to just thank Gordon. Gordon has been a consultant for us on our efforts to stop the Gross Dam expansion, and he's a consummate scientist. We really appreciate his work. I have 15 slides. I'm going to be a little quicker, maybe a little more provocative than Gordon. We'll start right with this one. We're going to move away real quick, though, so feast your eyes. Here it goes, and it's gone. My name is Gary Wockner. I'm the director of the Save the Colorado River campaign. I co-founded it. Our mission is to protect and restore the Colorado River and its tributaries from the source to the sea. We have a few program areas, including no new dams and diversions, which is where this Gross Dam expansion fits in, and climate impacts on river systems, which also applies to this Gross Dam expansion, and rights of nature, which is a new program for us that I'd like to talk to PLAN-Boulder about sometime in the future. Yeah. So I'm going to talk you through the issue here with the Gross Dam expansion, hit a few slides. A few will be technical, a few of them not, and we'll just kind of move right through it. So as you know, the Colorado River is in the news a lot. If you keep track of it, and also this Gross Dam expansion issue has been in the news many times, especially here in Boulder and Denver, on the front page of the Daily Camera many times. They're trying to take more water out of the Colorado River and do this massive expansion of Gross Dam, which would be extraordinarily damaging to the people who live around it and everyone in Boulder County, really. Taking more water out of the Colorado River is highly controversial. It continues to get national news all the time because the river is already drained bone dry before it reaches the Sea of Cortez, and everyone's fighting over the water that's left. And climate change is predicting, of course, water to be significantly less water. We were in GRIST, the environmental news site, last year. And then just a couple of weeks ago, there was a major scientific study that came out. This recommended no new diversions of water in the upper basin out of Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming, and New Mexico in the Colorado River system. Of course, this would be a new diversion. The Gross Dam expansion would be a new diversion of water out of the system. And it's not the only one. This is just a list in Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, New Mexico of all the proposed new dams, diversions, and pipelines out of the Colorado River system. The Moffett Collection System project, which is the Gross Dam expansion, is 18,000 acre feet of water. But overall, there's 400,000 acre feet of water proposed to be drained out of the river in the upper basin states before it even reaches Glen Canyon Dam. And so the water chaos, the ecological chaos, and the political chaos on the Colorado River is escalating constantly. However, we'll dig into some details here. This, of course, is a picture of Gross Reservoir that all of you probably know and have seen before. You can see the reservoir's boundary there. This is a full reservoir in the darker area, and the yellow area is the if the reservoir is expanded, that's where it will go into the expansion. If the new dam is expanded, it would be the tallest dam in the history of Colorado. Be a massive construction project, quite a bit bigger than most people are really aware will exist. And this is a quick image of that. I'm going to pull my cursor up here. This dark blue area is the current dam. And everyone keeps talking about expanding the dam or raising its height. Well, it's not actually an expansion or a raising of its height. There would be a massive new dam built in front of and over the top of the current dam. It would be 471 feet high, again, the tallest one in the history of Colorado, to hold back 3 times as much water. And, just tie this to Gordon's talk a few minutes ago. This is not a flood control project. It is a water supply project to meet the water supply proposed or perceived needs in Denver metropolitan area and for Denver water. It's not a flood control project. All the water would be diverted out of South Boulder Creek before it gets out of the canyon, if the project were to happen. But anyway, it's a massive construction project with a huge new dam built on top of and over the current one. So just kind of spend a minute on this so you kind of see where we're at. See my cursor going around that blue area there? That's actually Gross Reservoir. And this is Denver Water's water supply system. It's called their North System, the gray area. This is where they collect water from. They call it Moffett Collection because they collect water out of this system. And this is the pipe going down to the Moffett treatment plant and then down to the metropolitan area, serving Denver water's water needs. This red line here is the Continental Divide. So the collection system would collect all the water out of these little feeder streams in Grand County, divert it through the Moffett Tunnel, dump it down into South Boulder Creek, which would come down here into a greatly expanded gross reservoir, and then it would be pumped out before it leaves the canyon and go down to the Moffett treatment plant. It'd be about 5 billion gallons of new diversion water every year out all of these little streams in Grand County. Some of them would be drained bone dry. They have what they call zero flow days. This is a picture of Jim Creek in Grand County, and that's one of the diversion structures, what it looks like. Serious degradations to the flows in Grand County impacts the fish, endangered species, aquatic life, wildlife. We think that it would also violate the Clean Water Act. This is a picture of the impacts on the west slope of Colorado. And this is what we call a hydrograph. This is the months through the year. It starts in October 1st and goes to the end of September. This is an average over time. This blue line is what the Colorado River looked like at Hot Sulphur Springs. Massive rise in flow in June. We call it the June rise. Of course, as we all know, the snow melts and fills the rivers and streams throughout the state. This is what it looked like before people started diverting water out of it. And then the first Moffett project was built. And then the Colorado Big Thompson project was built, which is Horseshoe Reservoir. And then more projects and more projects. And down here around the blue would be what it would look like if the Moffett Collection Project, this current expansion, is built. So you're basically flatlining the Colorado River. It's like complete ecological degradation and just devastation of the river, of the Colorado River and Hot Sulphur Springs. So that's kind of why our organization exists and why we're into this. There would, however, be, as you know, extraordinary negative impacts on Boulder County, because this is where all the construction would occur. And I'll just kind of read through these quickly. Be the biggest construction project in the history of Boulder County, lasting at least 5 years, a massive new dam, 131 feet higher, the tallest dam in the state. It would involve large-scale use of explosives to quarry rock for the dam. You would inundate 400 new acres, including wetland areas, require thousands of semi-tractor trailer trips up the curvy mountain roads, especially Coal Creek Canyon, a little bit of Flagstaff Road, and also back around through Nederland, through the Magnolia area. They clear cut somewhere between 200,000 and 500,000 trees, turning the reservoir into a denuded wasteland. A lot of noise pollution, air pollution. Forsyth Falls would be inundated with the new reservoir if you ever walked there, back behind the current reservoir. There'd be significant greenhouse gas emissions from the construction. Making concrete creates uses a lot of energy, which creates a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. Disruptions of wildlife, including elk, cougars, and newly resident moose. Of course, one of the big concerns, massive, significant negative impacts to home values and quality of life of nearby residents who live up Flagstaff Road, who live in the Magnolia area, and who live up Coal Creek Canyon. They are beside themselves. They are extremely concerned about the project, and they are fighting to stop it tooth and nail, and we are helping them. Huge disruptions to many Boulder County residents who recreate in the area, because you're going to have a massive construction project with a enormous cement mixing device and rock rubbling device that would mostly go 24/7 with a lot of lights and noise. Negative impacts of South Boulder Creek, including freezing temperatures in South Boulder Creek, because Denver Water refuses to put in what's called a multi-level flow outlet in the new proposed dam. So you're going to get ice cold water out of the bottom of the dam all year long. And that would be very significantly negative impact the aquatic life, including the fish in South Boulder Creek. We believe it's very inconsistent with the Boulder County Master Plan, and it would mar Boulder County's reputation as an environmentally proactive and responsible community and recreational paradise. So that is a lot of negative impacts. And, you know, it is a significant concern for a lot of people. In fact, there's been a public opinion poll, which I'm going to show you real quickly. We think there certainly are alternatives to the project, and we have put them into all the permitting processes, and I'll get to the permits here real quick. Biggest one is water conservation. I got a very provocative slide to show you next. They can also get different sources of water. They can store the water in different places, and they can move the pipelines around. So there's a variety of things that Denver Water can do rather than this massive dam expansion project. Here's a very provocative image. The red line is the water use that Denver Water gave to the Army Corps of Engineers during the permitting process and said, this is our predicted water use. The blue line is Denver Water's actual water use. So they are basically lying to the permitting agencies, saying they're going to have massive expansion in the amount of water they use when the water use is actually going down because water conservation is working. In fact, their CEO, Jim Lockhead, has bragged about it. They even tweeted out his brags with a picture of it, which we captured and is putting it in the permit process and sitting in front of one of the judges' desks right now. And so Denver Water doesn't need the water. Their water use is going down, not up. They don't need to do this massive environmentally damaging project here in Boulder County. Just a couple more slides. The permitting processes, where it's at now. The state of Colorado gave the project what's called a 401 water quality permit a couple of years ago. That's over. The Army Corps of Engineers gave its 404 Clean Water Act permit, which we and 6 groups challenged in federal court. That is still in the federal district court right now, moving very slowly. We may find out more about that soon. Anyway, we sued the Army Corps of Engineers because they gave the project a permit, and we are in court fighting it. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission gave a hydropower relicensing amendment to the project. This was a fairly insignificant permit, but they had to give it because there's a small hydroelectric plant at the bottom of the dam, you may know. And of course, here's the big one. Boulder County has what's called 1041 regulations. These are regulations that allow the county to permit, authorize, or not projects within Boulder County. This process is ongoing. There's a proposed hearing in July of this year, and the public comment period is open right now. And those are your 3 county commissioners there at the bottom of the page. They are the deciders. There was a there was a public opinion poll done a couple of years ago about this in Boulder County. The blue line is opposition. The green line is support, and the purple line is don't know. And here's the fascinating thing about this project. The more people knew, they knew nothing, a little, some, or a lot across the bottom, the worse it got. So the more educated people got about the project, or the more they were educated about the project, the more they opposed it. Overall, 68% of the people in this survey, it was a very professional survey, opposed the project, only 22% in favor. So if you oppose it, you're in really good company in Boulder County. This is my last slide. What are we doing? We have significant outreach to the public, to the media, to decision makers, and other nonprofit organizations throughout the Southwest US. We're working hand in hand with the local group there in Boulder County called TEG, the Environmental Group. You can reach them at savebouldercounty.org. We are litigating. We are enforcing federal laws, including the National Environmental Policy Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act, as I mentioned, with 6 co-plaintiffs. And we are involved in local law enforcement. We defended Boulder County's 1041 regulations when Denver Water tried to subvert them earlier last year. And we are actively engaged in the permitting process right now, along with the local group there in Boulder County. We believe we have a good case and a good cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gary. Really
yeah, just a quick comment, because there is a geological fault in the area, and it has been pointed out very clearly to Denver Water and the Army Corps of Engineers. They have ignored it. But if the reservoir is expanded, it will have 3 times as much water. And of course, if a cataclysmic event did happen, it would be the biggest flood that has ever been recorded by far in the South Boulder Creek area. It would be devastating across the entire area. And so, Denver Water claims they will build a dam that will never, ever fail. And so that's all part of the public record and part of the permit process.
All right, thanks very much. All right, so this is a question for Gary. So would the freezing or colder water temperatures coming out of an enlarged gross reservoir actually kill biodiversity within the South Boulder Creek wetland habitat? And I'll just add in, we know like there's other dams like Flaming Gorge, which release very cold water and still have champion trout fisheries below them. So what makes this particular habitat distinct that the cold water would particularly impact
it? The taller a dam, the colder the water that comes out of the bottom of it. And this water would be released from the very bottom of the reservoir. And so it would be significantly colder than a natural South Boulder Creek and significantly colder than the current South Boulder Creek. And that has two kind of big effects. One is that it reduces insect life because insects need warmer water to breed and live in. And that, of course, is food for fish. And it also, the fish, the trout, need warmer water to spawn and thrive in. So you get just less reproduction of insects and less healthy water for trout. So, and that would be all the way through Wockner Ranch, which, as you know, is a fairly popular fishing spot. It is a significant concern. Denver Water has never addressed or responded or, proposed any kind of mitigation about it.
All right. Thanks very much.